What's happening, YouTube? This is Robert, and this is my fourth video in my HTML series. And in this video, we're going to discuss headings, paragraphs, and how to format text so that your users can read it. Let's actually lay out some content on a page. Jumping into headings, search engines use your headings to index page content and structure. So if you have a heading structure set up on your page, when Google bots get to your live page, they're going to upgrade it if you have them and downgrade it if you don't. Reason being is that users use headings to find relevant information. If they were attracted to your page for something that they found or liked when they clicked on you to find you, in that case, they're going to want to use your headings to find the information that they came to your page for. And if they can't, they're more likely to click out, close out of your page, navigate away, use that back button, and get away from you quickly. Looking at headings, we have the H1, which is the most important heading. Then you have your H2, H3, all the way through your H6. Each heading is less important than the one that preceded it. So your H1 will be the main title for your page, or the main piece of information that tells your users what this page is going to be about. And typically there's only one H1 per page. And H2 is less important than an H1, but still pretty important. So that might be your main categories to describe each section of your page. And then an H3 might describe what's inside of each section of your main categories. So you have your main title, you have your main sections, and then you have your subsections, and then H4 and H5 and an H6 would be used to define or describe smaller pieces of content within each section. Horizontal rules help break up our page so that we group relevant information and helps our users see where that relevant information might begin and end. I wanted to put head and header inside of this example here because head and header have nothing to do with headings, and I found that confusing when I very first started HTML. I thought they were all similar things. They are not. In our previous video, we discussed attributes and comments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of this content to keep my page clean and stay on subject. But if you would like to keep this for reference, just simply highlight what you would like, comment it out, press Ctrl//, and it's going to create that opening and closing comment tag for you. One thing I don't like about doing it this way is if I just want to uncomment this single line and I press Ctrl//, it's actually going to uncomment my entire highlighted section. So instead what I can do is I can click on the line where I want to comment out, followed by a Control click, hold Control on your keyboard and click, and that'll create a second cursor. Now I can create separate comment tags for each line, and if I want to just uncomment any single line, I can use that Ctrl// to do so. As I mentioned, the H1 is the main title for your page. And typically there's only going to be one of these on a page. Describing the entirety of your page or the entirety of this document is what that might be called too. An H2, on the other hand, might define your first of your main categories. Main category 1. And Sublime has a nifty copy and paste feature. If you hit Ctrl/Shift-D on any line, it's going to create that same line just beneath it. In this case, I'm going to change the content just a little so it says category 2, Ctrl/Shift-D, and category 3. So now we have 3 different H2s with main category 1, 2, and 3. Inside of main category 1, we might decide that we have other bullet point information, key subjects to discuss within that category. So that's where an H3 might come in. So now we have our main category 1 and our subcategory 1, 2, and 3. Now I can copy all of these subcategories here and paste them within the next main category section. Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. Now let's save this and see what it looks like inside of the browser. Remember, if you right-click and open in a browser, that's going to open that up for you. So our main title for our page, that's our H1. This is our H2 right here, H2, H2, and then these are our H3s. As you can see, an H4 might go here in between your H3 and your other H3, and then an H5 and an H6. So this is a good use of headings. But right now, it all looks like it's stuck together as one piece of content. Let's separate that out so our users can read it more easily and see where our content is grouped. Back in the editor, all we have to do is create an opening angle bracket, HR space / closing angle bracket. That's a horizontal rule. Now you can just use the shortcut but it's not going to give you the proper HTML5 syntax. The proper HTML5 syntax will include a / and then the closing angle bracket to let us know that that is all a single tag. Now we're going to press Ctrl-Shift-D to create another one of these just beneath. And if you hold Control and Shift and use your up and down arrows, you can move this line anywhere within the editor that you would like to move it. So all we're going to do is create a section for our main category 1. Now we're going to hit Ctrl-Shift-D and separate out main category 2. Now we're going to save that, and let's see how that looks in the browser. Instead of opening up in browser, you can always keep that window open and just go and hit refresh, and it's just going to show you everything in there. So here's our main title for our page and our main category with all of its subcategories. This horizontal rule helps section off our content so that users know how it's grouped. That's it for headings. Pretty simple stuff. Remember, head and header have nothing to do with headings. Those are their own elements that we will be discussing later. Let's get into paragraphs. Here we have an opening tag, a closing tag, and this is a complete paragraph tag. Anything in between is your content. We'll discuss line breaks inside of the editor, how those affect your paragraphs and how they lay out content differently, and then pre-formatted text, what that has to do with paragraphs. Let's go ahead and get in it. We might create a paragraph that starts to describe what this category is going to be about. So we have a paragraph, and to create some dummy text, you can type lorem and hit tab, and it's just going to create a little bit of dummy text for you. In my text editor, I have Emmet installed, which allows me to put how many words I would like this to contain, and it's going to create that many words, whatever number I type after lorem. I'm going to use the default dummy text, and that allows me to create my first paragraph. So let's save that and see what it looks like in the browser. Don't forget to refresh your page or press Ctrl-R to refresh. And this is our paragraph right here. But let's say that I wanted to create a bunch of spaces here in our paragraph. It didn't create any extra spaces inside of my paragraph. Well, let's try and hit enter a couple times. Control save, refresh, still nothing. What the heck is going on here? Browsers are only going to recognize a single space, and anything after that, it's going to consider that exact same thing. So if I press enter or space a bunch of times, it's still only seeing one space right here after this period. So how do we get around that? Well, there's a couple different ways, and I'm just going to keep it simple for this video. Let's create an extra line in between this sentence and this one. So what we do is we put an opening angle bracket, BR, space, / followed by a closing angle bracket. And this creates a line break inside of our paragraph. So let's save that and see what it looks like in the browser. Now we've created a paragraph where it has one sentence followed by a line break and then continues down on the next line. And if you want that separated a little bit more, you can always put a second line break. So if we just copy and paste that, save it, refresh, here we go. 2 different line breaks. So now it's going to break down to the next line and break again to separate this paragraph even further. Now let's say we wanted, instead of creating separate lines, we just wanted to create extra spacing between these 2 sentences. What we could do is use a non-breaking space. And that's going to add an extra space inside of our HTML. And I can copy with Control-C and then paste with Control-V as many times as I'd like to create more space in between these 2. So if you refresh your browser, now we've created extra spaces in between these 2 sentences. But that's a lot of work. So how do we create this more simply? Instead of using these non-breaking spaces and line break tags, what we can do is we can use a whole different tag than our paragraph tag called pre, and this stands for pre-formatted paragraph text. Inside of our pre tag, everything will be tracked, including extra spacing and extra entering, and it's also going to keep track of any tabs that occur. So as you can see, we have our first part of our sentence, a bunch of spaces, and then a finishing of that sentence, followed by a couple of enters, and also some tabs right here in the beginning of our text. So let's see what this looks like in the browser. Now you can see pre-formatted text with all of this content. It's kept track of the tabs, it's kept track of all of our content. It considers this still one line. If we wanted to, we could press enter here, and now we have 2 different lines. So however you format your text inside of your editor, it's going to appear that way inside of your browser. but it does make some changes here, such as font family, that you're going to want to pay attention to. So make sure you are paying attention to how those changes affect what your goal is. And that's it for paragraphs. Pretty simple. You have your regular paragraph, you can cause line breaks and spaces, and our pre-formatted text allows us to do all of that content all at once. Be careful with that pre-formatted text because it does change your font family and perhaps some other things, so keep an eye out there. Now let's talk about text formatting. What the heck is this? Well, text formatting allows us to make things stand out within our text. So inside of our editor, I'm going to get rid of all of this pre-formatted text and create a simple paragraph. Inside of our paragraph, let's create some dummy text with 100 words. Now let's Control save and refresh our browser so we can see what this looks like just out of the box. As you can see, there's just one solid paragraph in here. All of the content that we previously had is still there. Within our editor, let's get into the first one. So let's start with our bold text, which is this opening B and this closing B tag. And all the content that goes between those is what's going to be bold. So in our editor, in order to do that, I'm going to create an opening tag with B, and then on the other side of the content where I want that to end, I'm going to put a closing B tag. Now if I press Control S to save, refresh our browser, now we have bold text right there. Pretty simple stuff. Now let's simplify this process. Instead of putting one tag before and one tag after, let's just go ahead and highlight what we want, cut it with Control X, and then we can type out the tag that we want and press Tab. Then we can paste that content right back in. That's a little bit quicker than creating one tag before and one tag after. Now let's see what this strong tag does. Hit refresh, and our strong tag is going to make it somewhat italicized and somewhat bold. Now let's go ahead and put an italic, emphasized, and marked bit of text inside of that paragraph. Cut what we want, press I and Tab for italicized, and then press Control V to repaste that. Do the same for some emphasized text. We're just going to take some text here, cut it out, EM for emphasized text, Tab, Control V, and let's mark up some text. Grab this piece here, cut it out, mark, repaste it, and save. Now let's see what all that looks like in the browser. We have our original bold text here. We have strong text here. We have italicized text right here. We have emphasized text, which to me looks very, very similar to the italicized, but I think emphasized does just a little further on the stretching of the letters. And finally, we have our marked text, which simply highlights our text. Next, let's talk about small, deleted, and inserted. So let's make this text here small. Let's make this text look deleted. And let's make this text look inserted. And save that, and let's see what it looks like in the browser. So we have our small text here. As you can see, this text looks smaller than the rest of what's around it. And finally, we have inserted text. So the underline here shows that this text was inserted. Last but not least, let's discuss subscript and superscript. Let's put these right next to each other so it can be very obvious. Little subscript there, little superscript here. Now let's save and check it in the browser. And right over here, you can see subscript followed by superscript, and then back to regular text. Subscript's going to drop your text just beneath the line, whereas superscript's going to raise it up above the line. So pretty simple stuff. Now we know how to create main headings versus subheadings, and how to create paragraphs, how to pre-format those paragraphs, how to make each thing stand out with line breaks, horizontal rules, and text formatting to accent different things that we want to and make our content stand out. And that's really it in this video. If you have any questions, as always, leave a comment below, and I will see you guys in the next one.